Strength is the mother quality of all the other qualities. Without a foundation of strength, you cannot build anything. In marathon running, it's been proven that putting athletes on a heavy, low repetition strength regimen, it makes them race faster. The pull-ups are one of the best general strength exercises.
Most people would like to have some level of endurance, some level of strength, and feel healthy and presumably look however they want to look. But let's set aesthetics aside for the moment. How do you think about this thing we call fitness?
Well, first of all, Andrew, strength is the mother quality of all the other qualities. Without a foundation of strength, you cannot build anything. So any athletic event requires a base of strength. Of course, that shot putter is going to need much more strength than triathlon athlete, but they all need strength. Speaking of which, in triathlon, in marathon running, in distance, in cycling, it's been proven that putting athletes on a heavy, low repetition strength regimen, the kind that doesn't really add muscle but just makes you stronger neurologically, and it makes them race faster. So once you're stronger, everything becomes easier. How much stronger you need to get, that will vary. In the Soviet Union, they had something called the model athlete. So they figured out that for every particular event, your odds of succeeding are going to be much higher if you're able to, squat this much or bench this much and jump this high and so on and so forth. And this is easy enough to find these numbers for your individual sport and talk to various coaches. For people who are not competitive athletes, who just want to enjoy life, you just need to think about having a reserve of strength for whatever it is that you might do. So look at some PT standards in, let's say, in the military or in law enforcement and possibly apply them to yourself. As long as you're mobile, as long as you're symmetrical, and those are the things you have to address first, you need to look into work of Gray Cook, for example, then strength has to be your priority. Once you have reached a certain level of strength that's appropriate for your sport or appropriate for your lifestyle, at that point you can just maintain it and focus on other qualities.
What movements do you believe, if they exist, all people should include in their weekly routine someplace when thinking about how to develop, perhaps maintain, but for most people it's going to be the goal of still achieving some strength?
Okay.
Strength increase, excuse me.
I think there has to be a very low quantity of exercises, just very few exercises you want to focus on. And I'm going to give you some options to choose from. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do at Strong First in my company, my School of Strength, is we try to provide people with various simple, very low-tech, high-concept ways of addressing, reaching their needs. Because for one reason or another, for this individual, the barbell is the preferred tool. For another, it's the kettlebell or body weight or something else. So I'm not going to say that if you don't do kettlebell swings or barbell squats, you'll never amount to anything. That's just not true. If we are looking at the barbell, I would start out with the narrow sumo deadlift. And the narrow sumo deadlift, so if you look at powerlifters, classic example would be Ed Cohn. That's a narrow stance sumo. I'm not talking about wide sumo. That's a very sport-specific event. And you practice that first. You learn how to hip hinge. It's extremely important to learn how to hip hinge. Again, Stuart stressed that how important it is for your back health and for your longevity. So you learn to do that. Then whether you decide to pursue the deadlift or not, if you decide not to pursue high numbers in the deadlift, maybe it's not appropriate for you, or maybe you like in the coaching, fantastic exercise for everybody is a Zercher squat. So in the Zercher squat, you hold the bar like this in the crooks of your elbows. So it's resting right here. It's possible to pick it up off the ground, but it's an advanced skill. Better just to walk it off the rack. The advantage of the Zercher squat over, let's say, the back squat or the front squat is even if you have messed up shoulders, wrists, elbows, you still can do that. Coaching the Zercher squat is very easy, very simple. And you have tremendous reflexive stabilization of your midsection. It's just very, very powerful. So you acquire that skill of getting tight. So getting high numbers on that exercise in the Zercher, so let's say an athlete could shoot for double body weight, that's a really good goal. You find some pressing exercise. And again, if we're sticking with the example of the barbell, the bench press has gotten bad reputation, thanks to the gym bros. And, all gym bros do is the bench pretty much. Well, these days they also check out their phones, I guess. But if you look at athletes, athletes who also do some lower body work, some posterior chain work, and something for the midsection, and again, the Zercher squat could address that, they are making a great use of the bench press. So it's a very simple exercise. Well, not very simple. It's a relatively simple exercise. And unlike other pressing exercises, it allows you to make strength gains with a very low volume of training. So you can do several sets of 5 once a week in the bench press and keep getting stronger. Good luck doing that in the overhead press or in the one-arm push-up or something like that. So those are just a couple examples. There are many other examples. You can do snatch grip deadlifts. You can, list is very, very long. We can address the same thing in the same way with kettlebells. You can look into body weight exercises, but you need to find several exercises that have a reputation for building strength that reaches beyond the ability to do this exercise. Mm-hmm. If you just do curls, you're gonna get better at curls, but not at much else. So you find several exercises that you enjoy, that don't hurt you, that you have the equipment available, that you got the proper coaching for, and you pretty much stick with them. And there's absolutely no reason for you to change these exercises. It's possible to change them on the margins, from a wide grip bench press to narrow grip bench press, squats with a pause, and so on and so forth. But you don't really have to do a great variety of things.
Would a combination across the week of some sort of squat, let's say the Zercher squat, perhaps a kettlebell swing or something else for posterior chain, pull up and dip be a fairly comprehensive program?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a fan of dips. I like dips a lot. I heard you say that you some years ago you said that you were using dips for economy of time. And I started getting into dips. I haven't quite figured out the best way to load dips because once you get past 15, 20 repetitions of the bodyweight dip, it gets, it turns into something else.
Sure, absolutely.
Turns into aerobic exercise, perhaps.
Luke Ames, he was a powerlifter from the golden age of American powerlifting. He says anything over 6 reps is bodybuilding.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay in the lower rep range today. I'll talk about this with you more because I think a growing number of people, both men and women who are starting to do weight training or really incorporate strength training into their program, are seeking a combination of strength and perhaps endurance as well, without putting on too much size. Maybe size in some select body parts.
Well, Andrew, I think they need to do possibly several different types of training. But going back to your examples, dips are fantastic if you can, if your shoulders can handle them, if you know how to do them. It's a great exercise, but not particularly democratic. That's the problem. You mentioned the example of pull-ups. Absolutely, pull-ups are one of the best general strength exercises. And again, to your listeners, general versus special. Special in Soviet terminology just means sport-specific. So the carryover, when you start doing pull-ups, when you excel at pull-ups or the dips, you are going to get a carryover so far beyond these exercises, which is exactly the reason you do that. So I like your choices very much. Yeah.